All right, I believe we are. All right, I believe we are good. Can everybody hear? Everyone's good now? I'll make sure I'm able to share my screen. And we're going to get started. All right, so we're going to do our game really quick, and then we're going to go right into our conversation. And this game is going to make sense. So Ray, do you mind hosting red flag, white flag, green flag? Right? Oh, there you are.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
I got you. Wait, go
yeah,
ahead.
go for it. Yeah, because it's taking a while for it to load up on my end.
Okay. All right, so how the game goes is I will flash a card and you'll see a word or a phrase, and you can put it in the chat or you can come off mute and you can say if this is a red flag, white flag, or green flag. That's how it goes, right?
Gotcha.
All right.
Perfect. Come on. All right. And so, can everybody see that word? Or am I saying, or am I actually telling them the word and they just say what comes to mind? Okay, perfect. So the first word that we have is gaslighting. Red flag, white flag, or green flag?
Is that a red flag?
Red.
Red flag.
Red.
Okay. Next one, emotional support.
Green.
Green flag.
Green. Green.
The next one is managing different expectations.
White flag.
That green?
White.
White.
Oh, white.
Can be white.
Okay. All right. White flag. Inconsistent effort.
Red.
Red. Definitely red.
Red.
So, quick question. I just want to clarify from my own understanding. We got white flag, is that kind of like a meaning like yellow flag?
It's
Like,
a mutual thing. It's where both parties are have a healthy compromise. So it's a mutual, so both people are navigating together. So that's what the white flag.
okay, so on the last one, I'm actually going to say that's not a red flag. I'm going to say it's a white flag because that's something. When I think of red flags, I think of if this happens, we absolutely cannot move forward at all. And I think of like the white flag or a yellow flag as something that we can work towards. But if it continues to be a problem, then we can't go forward. So that's how I.
In regard to inconsistent effort.
Agreed.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like, because, and the reason I said that is because if someone starts off strong and their effort kind of like wavers off, I can bring that to their attention because there may be something else that they're going through and they just haven't communicated it with me. And so we can talk about it. But if it continues to be a problem, then we stop. But I don't necessarily, when I think of red flag, I think of if it happens right, if the first time that it happens, we don't move forward at all.
I look at it as inconsistent effort. You got me to the red flag because this is a pattern. But okay, I'll
Mhm.
submit.
Okay.
Because the word inconsistent
Yeah.
is a pattern. It's showing that it's something that's happened. It was going on for a minute and it stopped. But I also get what you're saying too, Ray.
Because here's the thing.
Bringing that part up to that person, and they have the choice to continue to be inconsistent or to change it. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna just cut you off just because your communication been a little bit inconsistent or your effort has been inconsistent. I don't want to cut you off if I haven't taken accountability and brought it to the forefront that it's a problem. But once I bring it to your attention, like, hey, this is what I'm recognizing, this is what I'm seeing, and it continues after that, then I'm backing out. I'm, we're stopping. It's now a red flag because I've talked to you about it. And once I've talked to you about it, it kept going.
And our best looks different every day.
Absolutely. The phrase occasional annoyances.
Mhm. Green.
Okay. Any others?
White.
I would say green too.
Green, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it
I'm a-
goes back to the last one too, depending on the occasion of the annoyance, I guess,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it depends on kind of like what you guys said. It depends on what the annoyance is too.
Mhm.
All right. The next one, affection and intimacy.
Green.
Green. Green. Big green.
Okay, big green.
Lying and hiding things. Red.
Red.
Yeah.
Rojo.
I was gonna go with green, but no.
Rojo.
Addressing misconceptions and stereotypes.
All right, so this is where it's about to go down. It's
thought we-
about to go down. I thought long and hard about this, and I said I gotta pick the most common misconceptions and lay it out there. So we're gonna start with our men, because our men are always neglected. So y'all know that I care about y'all. Okay, if you've been rocking with me since 2018, we've been wanting to hear your voice forever. Okay, so let's talk about it. Men are emotionally detached or unemotional. Is this a misconception or stereotype?
Well, it's both.
Yeah.
All right, talk about it. School the women because and you open your big mouth. Come on, Ron.
Mother,
Go
I
ahead.
gotta talk. All right.
Come on.
Oh man, yeah, because guys show up differently in situations, but when a guy is interested, we're going to be invested. You'll see the emotional part of us at times, but it may not look like what you're used to. Show up different. Mm-hmm. And I was getting feedback, wasn't sure. All right. So then and unemotional, like yeah, we're pretty emotional too. You'll see how we have moments and you all can't understand why we may react the way you feel like he's having a tantrum, or you feel like he's like, what is this? But some disappointment happened which triggered him, and the emotionality may show up, but it's definitely somebody that's connected and means something for it to actually create a emotional response in him. I pause.
Just observe a man watching a sports game where he has an interest. If it's his favorite team, be it baseball, football, track, baseball, you'll see the emotion. I don't think men are emotionally detached or unemotional. It depends on who you are. And it speaks to the level of relationship if he wants to share or show his vulnerability in your presence.
Comes down to some that trust too, how you
that's
handle
it,
it when
right?
I showed it before. Did
Yeah.
you trip? If you tripped, I'm gonna keep that part locked away.
I'm not gonna show you that part. If you can accept it and don't trip, or if you don't bring it back up as ammunition later on, then you'll see it again. But if you bring it back up as ammunition or try to clown like, oh, remember that time you was crying? Ha 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 ha. Okay. You will never see it again. And then that can push a man to become emotionally detached or unemotional in your presence.
In your presence is important.
Mhm.
Any other brothers want to say? Go ahead.
And I think it's also important too for the women to, if you are encountering a man who isn't he's being emotionally detached from you, he's not really talking, connecting with his emotions, talking about his emotions, to not just assume automatically that this is just the way that men are, to actually speak to that man and say like, hey, is there something that I have done to cause you not to communicate? Because oftentimes men will, like you guys said, they'll tell their partner something or a friend something, and it'll get brought back up later. And that man will never tell you, because you said this, I'm never going to tell you anything again. They'll just never tell you anything again. So if you're experiencing that, especially where it wasn't that way before, to not just assume, oh, he's just being a man, to actually have a conversation and say, hey, is there something that I've noticed this pattern has started to happen, or this pattern is going on? Is there something that I've done to cause this? Is there something that you need me to do differently so that you don't have to be so guarded around me? To open those doors of communication up.
I'll add in one more layer too. There are guys that do not even know how to express the emotion outwardly. So it doesn't mean that they are detached or unemotional. They're never taught how to tap into the emotion in which you can recognize. But by the most someone can, like, I do for you, I take care of you, and that's how I show that I love you or whatever, because that's all they know. But that doesn't mean that that should be discounted. If that's really all they know and they gave you their all, then that's big, because that's all they know. Now, if they knew other areas and didn't do it, that's another area. That's another factor. But if I've given you all I have and that's all I know, I've given you everything I have.
It's a term that my wife taught me to think today that speaks to that, Dre. It's called alexithymia. ALEXITHYMIA. And the definition is a man who has a challenge with or difficulty in identifying, processing, and expressing his emotions. Alexithymia. So that speaks exactly what you're saying, Dre. I learned that term today, so I thought I'd use it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for teaching me, giving me, more words to my repertoire.
Yeah, put it in the chat. You spelling it,
All right.
type it in the chat so we can look it up. I love this. Ladies, I hope we're hearing the men, what they are saying. It's important how we show up for them. Because oftentimes when a man does speak and he speaks from the heart, women and men laugh.
Yeah.
Because they too have not been exposed to seeing their younger brother or younger boy cousin cry and that being okay. This is why we're having a conversation. We have to learn now to unlearn
It's difficult
in order to break cycles.
in identifying.
Men don't need support.
And expressing emotions.
Come on, brothers. Men don't need support.
You was gonna make me say something if I was
Yes, yeah.
but Lou wanted to talk, so
Oh no.
Men,
I like how you just
do.
did that.
I love it, Dre. I got his back though. Men do need
What?
support. Men do need support. Absolutely. And a man will be with a woman who gives him the drive to put the best part of him or the best version of him forth. Let me give you an example. I had a niece that was dating a guy, but she wasn't pushing him to be his best self. And so I told my wife and my children, I said, he's not going to marry her. Daddy, you just mean, you just da-da-da-da. He didn't marry her. He ended up marrying he wasn't working or nothing. He married another woman. He got a full-time job. He's being responsible and everything. Men will settle down with the woman who helps promote and push the best version of him forward. Yeah, they need encouragement. And a lot of times, I'll give this analogy, then I'll be quiet and let Dre get it. Michelle Obama was at a restaurant with the guy, and I guess the guy was looking at her. I think she may have known the guy or whatever. They went to school together and everything. She was like, that guy really used to like me. And so Obama said, well, if you'd have dated that guy, married that guy, you wouldn't have been able to say you was married to the president. She said, no, if I'd have dated him, he would have been the president. There it is. And wisely said. A woman will become the birthing ground to birth out a man's success and his excellence. They are the right woman will be a great incubator to birth what's within a man.
Absolutely. Man, everything you said, and women have the ability to allow the man to see what's inside that may not have been. The seed could have been covered up, but you could be the dirt and the water to help make that seed grow. You can also pluck it out, and by words and actions and deeds and bringing up the faults and the flaws, which may be very prevalent. It bothers you, to speak to something that you can see, speak to something that you can encourage, because then he'll start to flourish and grow, and you will see a different man come about.
Now, I'm about to be not so much a devil's advocate here, because you do have some brothers out here who won't allow a good woman to be the support for him. And that could come from not having that example or being able to understand the value of a good woman who's there to be an anchor, not because she wants to be with him, but to actually see him grow and be everything that he should be. Not changing. Some people or some men think that when a woman comes to be a help, that she's trying to change. Can we speak on that?
Yeah.
So
Because hold on, let me see.
Go ahead, Dre. Get it.
I'll toss it to you.
All right.
Because it all depends on how that woman shows up, because you could show up with the best intentions, but not speaking his language, not supporting the way he needs to be supported. So there are times when women come in and want to be the mother and want to talk down, or may feel like they are a good woman, and they may be good. They may be a good woman, good person. It just may be the approach in which this discussion could be happening when it comes down to it. But you got to definitely meet him where he is, talk to him how he needs to be spoken to, what he feels is important to him. You have to understand that, because you can't come with your own agenda and what you feel like he should be doing, because you have your own plan for him. You see him in your mind the way you want him to be, so now you're putting this on him when he's right there in front of you. See him for who he is and help support that person and move forward from there. So it doesn't mean that you're not a good woman. It doesn't mean that he's a bad man. It doesn't mean that he doesn't want to support and doesn't want to feel it. It means that there has to be an adjustment in whatever is going on through that communication that's not effective.
And all of that what Dre said. And on top of that, sometimes a man will say, let me tell you how you can help. Because if I didn't ask for your help, I ain't necessarily looking for your help. And it can be based upon his past, what happened in the past. So a lot of times when you are dating and you are a woman or a man, sometimes one of the unwritten principles that's in play is you're sometimes paying for somebody did in the past. So sometimes that's something to consider. And sometimes the best thing to do is just observe. And when asked, then give. One of my buddies told me, he said, Hoss, don't give nobody any advice or your opinion unless they ask for it. And that
So
told me it was major.
I do want to say something because again, there are men out here who don't believe they have a voice. So there are some men, again, they might watch the replay. I want you to know it's time for you to speak up. So a lot of men out here who need help. They don't know how to say, I need support, or they may feel like, okay, if I say I need it, I might be looked at as weak.
It could
That's
be
another thing. So that's another thing too. You do have, again, there's a generation of men younger than, I want to say between 25 and 35 that feel as if they don't have a voice. So what would you say to men in that particular age bracket who may feel like there's a lack of support, even in the brotherhood community?
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that still deal with the low self-worth, low self-esteem, been in a household that they were never acknowledged and able to speak. And so they don't have the words for that either. I'll add from the other point, women can ask men, hey, how can I support you? What support do you need? How do you see me being beneficial or assisting you in this area? Do you need me? Even if he's talking about things, are you just venting to me, or you need me to do something, would like me to do something with this information to help? Because sometimes he's just expressing what's up. Now, as far as his voice, that's a challenge because for various reasons, we don't know why, but men doesn't always speak. I was talking to a gentleman this morning in a session who has not really showed up in his relationship, and it's been over 2 years because she's shown up and he's pleasing and meeting everything that she needs. But I asked him for the last 6 months, when are you going to show up to your relationship? Because he doesn't speak unless he gets upset. But he doesn't speak on any of his needs, where he's trying to go from with their communication and in various areas. Sometimes he speaks, but when it really matters, he doesn't really show up, and she doesn't really know what all his limits and boundaries are because he's people pleasing.
And one of the tragedies to being a people pleaser is it's going to get to a point where it's going to be a piece of straw that breaks the camel back. And that's a ticking time bomb because he hasn't shown up. But one day something's going to strike him and he's going to blow up. And that may be in a relationship. Or he's going to go further in a relationship. And when he gets to a place of frustration, he's going to look for his companionship outside of the woman he's committed to.
That's so good. All right, move on to the next one. All right, women are overly emotional or irrational. Vanessa, Leanne, Darcy.
listening, looking at this, and I just had a conversation, Lou and I were talking on last night, that women do display a lot of emotion, but I don't want to say that they're irrational. Or I guess I'm speaking for myself. I have emotions, but I'm a rational person. I don't think that I'm irrational. So it depends on the woman. But I know we do carry a lot of emotions.
Yes, and that is something that I have been navigating through my healing journey so that I'm able to express myself and make rational decisions and not decisions from my flesh or my emotion, my feelings. When you start making decisions based off of emotions, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not growing. You're still operating from an immature place, whether you're a male or female. So I do agree with you, Vanessa, that it does depend on the type of woman, because you can be overly emotional to a point where you're not making rational decisions. Deanne?
I just wanted to quickly add this in. What comes to my mind, if you all have ever seen the movie Acrimony, that is a good picture of overly emotional, irrational woman. What's her name? Taraji.
That is a good expression or exhibit of overly emotional and irrational.
Yeah.
Okay, Deanne, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I see the word overly emotional, just what I think of is someone who does not know how to self-regulate and process or manage their emotions, because we all experience emotions, and sure, how we may express them may vary between each woman, or even, the differences between us and men. But I just want to, just recognize that overly part, or even the irrationality of some of the things that are decision making that we do, that definitely is based off of someone who does not know how to self-regulate, process, and manage their emotions, because we feel them, we definitely do, and we may even display them, a little bit more. But that irrationality and the overly part, that is definitely a stereotype, but it is, we've seen it and we know what it looks like, but it's just that, if you've never been taught, or it hasn't been modeled to you how to self-regulate and things like that, then of course you're going to come off overly emotional and acting irrationally.
All right, women are dependent on men. I need a man with 100K. I'm so tired of hearing that.
Right.
Oh, it's over 100. It's over 100K now.
Right, 250.
Oh, 3K.
300. Oh,
they want a millionaire.
There we go. See, a 1%er.
But they not 1%. Okay. All right. Okay.
Right.
I'm tired of social media. I am. I just don't tune off.
Now that's overly emotion and irrational right there. Social media is too much.
Now you're living in a fantasy world, and you're not living your reality,
right?
Where you are. Day within your means, right? I don't believe that this is true. Again, it depends on the type of woman. I think it was not Lisa Nichols, Ayanna Van Zant, that said, we don't need a man. We want you. It's not about we don't need you. We want you. We're called to do life together. I'm not sure why we keep saying you can be bad by yourself. No, we are called. Hello, God created Adam and Eve. If he wanted us to be separated,
He would have
he
cleared.
he wouldn't even created Eve in the first place. And I'm going back to the basics. So, you want to chime in, Vanessa?
Just saying too, some women were raised to be dependent on a man. It's in their DNA, their culture, yeah. And it's like, of course, like you said, I want a man, but do I necessarily need? You know, as far as the things that I can do, yeah, I can do those things by myself, but God created a woman for a man. And yes, you know, to build life together, to work together. So we're dependent on each other, supposed to be.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think that we gotta like discuss what the word need means, right? Because sure, while I may, need my partner for certain things, like, sure, I don't need him to pay my bills and stuff like that, right? That would be nice, but I don't need it, But it's like when we think about other needs that we have, we're so focused on, the materialistic part of it. Like we have basic needs. We all need some type of security, right? We all need some type of support, right? Emotional support. We all need that. And if you are in a relationship with somebody, I would say that that's part of something that you do need. You want a emotionally supportive man, right? I mean, that's just kind of, so it all depends on when we talk about needs, what is it that we're really talking about? Sure, you may not need them in certain areas, but certain areas you might need certain things from him.
I feel like a need should be tangible. It shouldn't be, it should be valuable, not tangible. Your needs should be valuable. So if you grew up in a household where you were not taught value, morals and values, that's a problem. And we have that going on right now in the Black community. I'm not sure where the ball was dropped. I don't care about pointing fingers. At this time, it's time for us to go and build from where we are. And so, you know what? I gotta start valuing my time more, my energy more, who I'm gonna put this into. Like, I'm tired of the same old, same old. I hear that too on social media, but where are you putting that energy into, right? So that's just my take on that. I feel like your needs should always be valuable. Our next one. Now, I hear this a lot about empathy. There are people walking around who lack empathy, who are not aware of each other. And we all probably have witnessed this, or it has happened to us. You coming up to a door, somebody walk right through the door, right? And you right there, and they could not hold it for you. We're that unaware of each other.
You know, how about you walk into a room, a space, and it's been taught when you walk into a space, to greet, to be greeted, and you walk into a space and people just don't even recognize that you're present. That's been in church, that's been in school, that's been in, I've been in a lot of spaces. And
I'm teaching that now. So
yeah, we were taught that. Some people were not.
Yeah.
I actually was having a conversation with somebody and they are not taught. They were not taught that, and they don't feel like it's necessary. I don't even know these people. Why would I speak? Or I don't rock with them. Why would I speak?
And that's so true, because I look at our son, LJ. He's a prime example of that. Like, he will walk into a room and I'll be like, you have to acknowledge people, but why? That's like, if I don't know, why I gotta speak to him? And then they get on us so much when we dealing with people. We so friendly. Why y'all so friendly? You don't know the people. I'm like, it's just cordial,
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, we want to be in that book of life. Okay. Because I mean, We gotta think about that too. God know us, so why we can't know each other? Why we can't be connected? We're so disconnected. Going back to what David said.
I got upset last week, which happens a lot, honestly, where if I hold the door for a female and she walked through as if I was supposed to and keep on going, you want to just snatch her back and pull her through the door and slam it. That's not what you want to do.
Why?
You really do. It's very disrespectful.
Yeah, it is.
I think some people just aren't aware of others. Like everybody, it feels nowadays are just very self-centered and self-focused. She probably didn't even see that you
Oh,
was feeding.
no. It's very clear. It's happened for years. It didn't just happen. It's not one time. This is a lot of men's issues for years.
Well, some people are just rude, but I think just with not being emotionally aware, I think some people are just extremely self-centered. Like they have a hard time showing empathy or showing compassion or just, connecting with other people because they only can see and think of their own self, their own needs, their own wants. And so it's like I can't even open up my mind to have any empathy for somebody else because everything is just so only about me. So we can't even connect with other people because all we think about is just ourselves.
True.
I
True.
don't know. Yeah.
And self-centered is
ahead.
different than just outright knowingly, like someone did something for you that they did not need to do, have to do. I don't even know you, but I held the door for you, and you're very clear because I went to step back to let you go, and you just walked. So it's more than self-centered. That's disrespectful.
Yes, just being aware, because I do that with my students or even students in the hallway. I would tell them like, didn't you just see so-and-so? Oh yeah, but there's no yeah, but, because if it was you, what would you want? And they would tell me right then and there, oh, I want them to acknowledge me. So we want to be acknowledged, but we don't want to acknowledge other people.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that we've gotten so far away from community.
Yeah.
Community, I mean, thinking about like our ancestors and such, like community was such a huge thing. And unfortunately, due to a whole lot of things that has occurred over the centuries and stuff like that, I think that there's this like disconnect, kind of just like you were saying, Neek, that we really need to just try to step out of and sure by doing that and teaching others to do that, we have to continue in our walk, even in knowing that, everybody wasn't taught that, but just to kind of see, you'd be amazed at how many people are observing you in your walk and maybe even be inspired in your walk, even when it becomes frustrating for you at times because everybody just isn't there. That doesn't mean that you stop doing what you're doing.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
Because
remember that.
yes, what Marvin, don't do that. Don't do that. You gonna make me lose my thought, sir. When it comes to empathy, empathy is a quality. Okay, it is a quality that you need to have healthy relationships. Going back to community. Okay, like we were just saying. So I hear this a lot. I wasn't raised to be emotionally aware. Why do I need this? You need this. This is something that's very important, especially if you're somebody who is connected to folks. Being in alignment in your friendships, in your partnerships. Okay, your romantic relationship. You need this because having emotional awareness, it gives you a sense of peace. You're confident in how you show up for the other person and for yourself. People don't realize that when you are emotionally in tune with yourself, you'll be able to treat yourself better. And I'll be talking about that a little bit later. Did anyone else want to share anything? Ray, you're kind of quiet.
I was actually going to say, just kind of when it comes to empathy, something that I've experienced just with clients is that some people, well, a lot of people don't understand what empathy is, that they confuse empathy with sympathy. And so when they having to kind of like explain to them the difference, sympathy is just like, I'm taking pity for you. I feel, you know, I feel really just bad for you, for your situation. I'm looking at you almost kind of like hopeless, from a perspective of hopelessness. But empathy is me connecting with you, connecting with, identifying the emotion that you're experiencing, and connecting to that emotion on the inside of me. And so what I wanted to say is that I've seen a lot of people kind of avoid connecting with people on situations because they feel like, if I haven't been through it, then I cannot provide empathy for you. And that is not correct. In order for me to provide empathy for you, all I need to do is be able to connect with the emotion that you're experiencing right now. And that is how we provide empathy for someone. Just because someone else's mother has passed away and my mother has not passed away, that doesn't mean I cannot provide empathy for this person because I haven't experienced that. I need to know what it is like to, have to redefine who you are as a person. I have to know what it's like to understand that frustration in that moment, to understand sadness and things of that nature. And if I can connect to that on the inside of me, then no matter what you're going through, I can provide empathy for you.
Preach.
Mhm.
Okay. Preach. That's it right there. Thank you for sharing that with us. The next one, what qualities, is going back to the qualities part. What qualities should a person bring to foster deep and meaningful connections?
Vulnerability.
Compassion, understanding, bring themselves in the same light that which they seek.
Also, an open mind too. You really need to have an open mind when you're dealing with connecting with other people, because not everybody thinks the way that you think, and I don't think the way that everybody else think. But just because we think differently doesn't mean either one of us are wrong. We have different ways of thinking, and two things can be true at the same time. I can experience what I'm experiencing, you can experience what you're experiencing. I just have to be open to understanding how your perspective is shaped. I don't necessarily have to agree to it, but I don't have to tell you that you're wrong either. I just need to be able to understand it.
This is good. This is a great example of understanding collective vision. Bringing about a conference like this, back in 2018, I did not know I'll be at this place. But it's taken time to collect data, spending time with the Lord, and talking, networking, getting to know other people and perspectives when it comes to relationship. And I'm still navigating and flowing now. Okay, so this is also an example of that, building a community, and stepping out in my discomfort. I am uncomfortable. It might look like it's as easy. It is not. So I'm being challenged, and I'm challenging everyone on the call, everyone who's watching the replay, who's watching us live on YouTube. How are you fostering your relationships? What type of connections are you making? Or are you still living in this selfish mentality? Because if you're selfish, you're not fostering healthy relationships. You're just existing. You're not living. So I want you guys to think about that. Did anyone else want to add to this? You good? What barriers do I need to become connected to the opposite sex? So what things do you think? You don't have to share your personal, but what things do you think? Men, what do you think women should do what barriers do you think is keeping us from connecting? I'll let the men go first.
I
What
think
barriers?
times for women, they need a fresh lens because they look through the lenses of their past instead of the present. Often, many times, a guy that may show up to date you or to court you, he pays for the failures of his predecessors instead of dealing with you in the right now and with himself as an authentic individual. Often, many times, the barriers is barriers of the past traumas, past experiences, past disappointments, past failures that a guy pays for, and he's just trying to show up as himself. And then sometimes that causes a woman to look as damaged goods.
I'll add to that, having the understanding in your mind that he's not the person in the past, or he's not even the person that you see in your mind. He's the person in front of you, and getting to know him for who he is and what he is, and can you navigate and be a part of that with him, and not put your values, thoughts, and vision on him, but see how it aligns with one another.
The alignment, that's so good, right?
Yep. I was gonna say overcoming this desire to just overgeneralize what your partner needs, to think that this person is going to need what this previous person needed, what this previous person needed. And so we come in with all of these ideas and we overgeneralize our partners instead of actually getting to know what works for this particular partner. Just because this partner needed you to, for example, cook, clean, and do all of these other things, and you didn't have to do other stuff, this partner may need you to do that other stuff and not do all the cook, clean, and doing all that. And so really taking the time to just get to know what your partner and understanding them at a deeper level, instead of coming in operating off of generalizations about just that particular sex.
That's good. Ladies?
I would just piggyback on what Lewis stated earlier as far as having fresh lenses and not making that person pay for your whatever experience or relationship you had prior to them. And then what Raynard said as far as overgeneralizing, what you may need it in one relationship, you may not need that in the next one. So having an open mind, bringing it all together, your mind be open to different things.
I would say, yeah, all that. The biggest thing I always say is always be a student of learning. As long as you are alive, you are learning. So giving yourself the grace to continue to evolve in your singleness, and also be willing to evolve and mature into a relationship, because it is a partnership. So your mindset has to shift if you're looking to mature. Because again, this type of conversation is for mature folks, people who are not thinking immaturely, but who wants to evolve and understand the importance of a healthy relationship is not a perfect relationship. A healthy relationship has the good, the bad, the ugly, and they are in capacity to learn and to build, not to destroy. It's easy to destroy a house, but it takes time and patience and wisdom to build one. So I hope that this conversation is helping everyone watching. Deanne, do you want to share anything, or Darcy, regarding this?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I agree with what everybody said, but also like I'm a fan of self-awareness. I think that there's often a lot of finger pointing at the opposite sex, and I think this goes for both, right? So, like we really have to check ourselves and just become more self-aware in the part that we play in some situations when it comes to barriers and connecting with others. And not even just in romantic relationships, but with just relationships in general. I think it's so much easier to point the finger as opposed to looking, at yourself and the inner work that needs to be done so you can be the best version of yourselves in order to connect with other people.
I like what you just said there. It made me think about patterns. I'm big on patterns. So your behavior, think about certain things you want to change so that you're not bringing that into a relationship. Okay, so and if you are in a relationship and there are some things you're noticing or your partner is noticing, it's okay to give yourself grace to get the feedback. And don't wear that on your feelings on your sleeve. Sometimes women can be a little over dramatic about he said I'm this. Well, is it true? Can you step back and think and analyze it? To see what is true, what's not true. I think Vanessa, you guys mentioned it earlier about the facts and the facts only. Right? So is it a fact? If it's a fact, then you shouldn't be in your feelings. It's something that you should really work on. Going back to the awareness that Deanna is speaking on, that is so good. Darcy, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here just listening.
Oh, okay. Anyone else have anything they wanted to share concerning this or brother or sisterhood in general when it comes to community? Because there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of organizations out here who have community, but is it authentic? Is it genuine? I'm having a hard time connecting. I'm being prayerful about the next moves I'm going to make when it comes to building my network. And I'm being prayerful about the community because I care about what God has given me to do. Does anyone wanted to say anything else concerning brotherhood or sisterhood?
I'd like to interject this before we leave. We are on a stage and we all have our roles to play. When we allow entities to come into us that have been predetermined, then it puts up barriers. We have to learn how to step in. The brother said earlier, look through a clear lens. And when you come into a relationship, a situation, a friendship, there's a lot of ships going on. You have to take them for the face value of what it is that's right in front of you. And you work through those in truth and in wisdom and honesty, because not all relationships will be conducive for you, and you shall soon see. But you always keep yourself on board that you may be able to walk in your own truth. And when you do that, everything in that stage play will fall into place.
Thank you so much, Mama Vi, for that amazing wisdom. So good. I met her during an event back in August, and it's been an honor to just listen and glean from her. Her wisdom is helping me along the way. So I'm going to end the portion here on YouTube. Thank you guys who are going to watch the replay, and I'll be talking to you guys, those who are on YouTube, in a few weeks. Y'all stay blessed. All right, I'm gonna end that there, and we're going to end here. Just 1 second, let me make sure.